The disappearance of Gabby Petito, a full timeline of events. Gabby Petito was a 22-year-old woman who had set out on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, in July 2021. Gabby's journey to explore America's national parks and document her adventures on social media seemed like a dream. Tragically, what began as a journey of freedom and discovery ended in a murder that would shock the world. The road trip begins. Gabby and Brian, both avid social media users, began their journey in July 2021. They had planned to travel in Gabby's van and document their experiences on Instagram, making their journey a combination of adventure and self-expression. The couple had been engaged, and the road trip was seen as a way to explore the beauty of the American landscape while sharing their experience online. Their journey took them through various states, including Utah and Colorado. Throughout the trip, Gabby shared photos of the couple hiking, camping, and exploring various parks. The pictures depicted an idyllic life, filled with scenic views and moments of happiness. But as their travels continued, cracks in their relationship began to show. The disturbing incident, August 12, 2021. On August 12, 2021, Gabby and Brian had a well-documented encounter with the police in Moab, Utah. The police were called to the scene after reports of a domestic dispute between the couple. The police body camera footage from that day shows Gabby visibly upset, crying and explaining to officers that she had been in an argument with Brian, which led to her hitting him in frustration. Brian, on the other hand, remained calm throughout the interaction and did not appear to be as distressed. Gabby told the officers that she had been overwhelmed and anxious, which led to the altercation. In the footage, Gabby admitted to being at fault for striking Brian, and the officers ultimately decided to separate the couple for the night. Brian was not arrested, and Gabby was allowed to continue the trip with him. The couple was given the option to stay in separate accommodations for the night, but neither was placed under arrest. This incident would later raise significant questions about the nature of the couple's relationship and whether there were signs of domestic violence that went unnoticed. Gabby's last contact, August 25, 2021. On August 25, 2021, Gabby shared her last communication with her family. According to her mother, Nicole Schmidt, Gabby sent a final text to her family saying, "No service in Yosemite." Gabby had planned to visit the Yosemite National Park, but this text would be the last message anyone would receive from her. Gabby's family grew concerned when they did not hear from her again. They had been keeping in touch with her throughout the trip, and her sudden silence raised alarms. Despite Gabby's promise to keep in touch, she stopped communicating, and no one could reach her. Brian returns home without Gabby, September 1, 2021. On September 1, 2021, Brian Laundrie returned home to his parents' house in Northport, Florida, driving the van alone. Gabby was nowhere to be seen. Brian did not provide any information to the Petito family about Gabby's whereabouts or what had happened to her. He remained silent about her disappearance, and there were no reports of Gabby being found or seen after that. This return to Florida without Gabby raised immediate questions. Why had Brian returned home without his fiancée? Why hadn't he reached out to Gabby's family or contacted the authorities? The search for Gabby begins, September 11, 2021. On September 11, 2021, Gabby Petito was officially reported missing by her family. Her parents had been trying to contact her for days, and when they were unable to get in touch with her, they reached out to law enforcement. At that point, the authorities began investigating Gabby's disappearance. The investigation initially focused on Brian Laundrie, who had returned home without Gabby. His silence and refusal to cooperate with the police sparked suspicion. Gabby's family also called on Brian's family to provide any information about Gabby's whereabouts, but they too remained silent. The search for Gabby intensifies, September 17 to 19, 2021. As the search for Gabby continued, authorities focused on Brian Laundrie's involvement. On September 17, 2021, Brian was officially named a person of interest in the case. Authorities began searching for him, but he was not located. Over the following days, media attention surrounding the case exploded, with widespread coverage of Gabby's disappearance and Brian's silence. Social media played a major role in raising awareness, and people all over the country began calling for justice for Gabby. The discovery of Gabby's remains, September 19, 2021. On September 19, 2021, Gabby Petito's remains were found in a remote area of Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming, near Grand Teton National Park. The body was identified as Gabby's on September 21, 2021, through dental records. The discovery of Gabby's body sent shockwaves through the nation. The search for answers intensified, and authorities now believed that Gabby had been murdered. Brian Laundrie's disappearance, September 14 or October 2021. As the investigation into Gabby's death progressed, Brian Laundrie was reported missing on September 14, 2021, by his parents. They claimed that Brian had gone hiking in the Carlton Reserve, a vast nature reserve in Florida, and had not returned. The authorities launched an extensive search for Brian in the reserve, but no sign of him was found. In the weeks that followed, public speculation grew as people questioned whether Brian had been involved in Gabby's murder or whether he had disappeared to evade capture. The discovery of Brian Laundrie's remains, October 20, 2021. On October 20, 2021, human remains were discovered in the Carlton Reserve, near Brian Laundrie's personal belongings. The remains were later confirmed to be Brian's through dental records. Along with his remains, authorities found a notebook in which Brian wrote about the events leading up to Gabby's death, but the contents of the notebook have not been fully released. Brian Laundrie's death was ruled a suicide by gunshot, but the exact circumstances surrounding his role in Gabby's murder remain unclear. The aftermath. Gabby Petito's case drew national attention and prompted widespread conversations about domestic violence. Gabby's family set up a foundation in her honor to raise awareness and provide resources for those affected by domestic violence. Gabby's death and Brian Laundrie's disappearance raised critical questions about how society handles missing persons cases, domestic violence, and the involvement of law enforcement in addressing such incidents. The case also brought to light the power of social media in raising awareness and pushing for action. The case of Gabby Petito remains one of the most talked about true crime stories in recent history. While her family continues to mourn her loss, her tragic death has sparked a global conversation about the importance of addressing domestic violence and ensuring justice for victims of such crimes. Gabby Petito's story is a heartbreaking reminder that behind every tragedy, there are real people, families who love and miss them. The investigation into Gabby's murder and Brian Laundrie's involvement will continue to be discussed for years to come as new details emerge. If you found Gabby Petito's story as heartbreaking and eye-opening as we did, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime content. Let's continue to honor Gabby's memory by raising awareness for missing persons and the fight against domestic violence. Join the conversation in the comments below, share your thoughts, theories, or any other cases you'd like us to cover. Together, we can keep pushing for justice.